real quick.
I watched the one you did with Ellen Pitts the other day, and I was
Yeah.
laughing so hard because I remember her first video, and she said, "I look like I've been taken hostage by terrorists," because she had, like, a bed sheet hanging on the wall behind her, and her hair was, like, down over her face like this, and she said, "Seriously, I look like somebody's about to come out and whack my head off." It was like, now look at her, it's so cool.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about I think that's the crazy thing about YouTube is that, or just video in general, it's the progression. A lot of people think that they have to be good from the beginning, right? They need
Right.
all this heavy machinery, they got to be perfect and dialed in. And some people, want to do that. But I mean, for the longest time, I used an iPhone, right?
Yeah, me too.
So real quick, everybody, my guest is Karin Carr. You see her right there. She is phenomenal. Most of you are probably in her Facebook group or DM'd or PM'd or reached out to her for advice in the past. I have the absolute pleasure of bringing her on today, and we are going to pick her brain and ask some really tough questions. Karin, thank you for joining me.
All right, lay it on me. Give me the tough
The
questions.
tough questions. Okay, so first off, let's start easy. So you're how long into the business before you started really implementing video and then YouTube?
11 or 12 years into being a real estate agent. So I got licensed in 2005. I did not start making video a real part of my business strategy until I had moved from California to South Carolina to Atlanta. So that was probably around 2016-ish. I
Wow.
started making videos because I was brand new there. I had no name recognition, I had no market share. And quite frankly, I had nothing else to do because I had no business. I was starting over in a new market where nobody knew me. So I thought, well, I'll start making videos and I'll just throw them up on YouTube as a way to get my name out there. And also because on my website, the website that I use, if you want to embed a video on your website, you do that by putting it in YouTube and grabbing the link and then putting the link on the blog. So I was using YouTube as a repository for holding all of the videos that I could put on my blog. So I never thought anybody was looking for them on YouTube. And when that started to happen, it was like, oh my gosh, why did I never think about this before? I would have been so much more strategic with the content I was making if I had thought anybody was looking for it on YouTube. It was really accidental.
My start in video on YouTube was a spaghetti on the wall experience, right? And then I started listening to people that were better than me in YouTube and trying to figure out what I was doing wrong. So my question for you is when you hit that point where you realize like, oh, I can actually make this a good thing. What was some of the content and what are the things you think you started doing right?
Okay, so prior to that, I had been answering very generic real estate questions like, why do I need a home inspection if I just dropped 450 bucks on appraisal? Um, how long does the purchase period process take? Like I had moved from California, which was an escrow state, to Georgia, which was an attorney state. So I was trying to learn myself all of the new terminology. And I thought it would help me if I explained it to other people. Like, the best way to learn something is to teach it. So I was doing videos about just very broad real estate topics. After people started saying, I found your channel, I've watched all of your videos, I started making a lot more hyper local content, but still real estate related content. So I never really was going out to business owners and saying, let's do a local area spotlight. Because I figured the person who was looking for the best place to get fish tacos or shrimp and grits, they're just hungry. That doesn't mean that they want to buy or sell a house anytime soon. And I needed business now because I had moved yet again. Now I was in Savannah, Georgia. Again, no clients to speak of. So I was looking for that low hanging fruit. I was looking for people that needed to do a transaction in the very foreseeable future and didn't have an agent. So I was making videos like thinking about moving to Georgia. These are the things you needed to know. Are you going to retire in Savannah? This is why it's a great place to live. Are you PCSing to Hunter Army Airfield? This is what you need to know if you're going to be buying your very first house as an active duty military member. So they were all with a real estate slant, but they were about the area that I service.
If agents can get past that mental block and just say, you know what, people want to know things. Let me tell them what they should know about real estate, know about my area if they're going to be moving or selling. I think that's the power, and I'm glad that you were able to do that because I think a lot of agents really put up that barrier. So what do you think is the best content for agents? Like if they're going to start this thing out fresh, right? They're new to an area, or maybe they just want to get recognition. What's the content? I mean, you just talked about it a little bit, but what's the content you think they should be hitting first?
I am a huge advocate in having a specialty. Now, if we look in the medical profession, the doctors who are the general practitioners make the least amount of money. The heart surgeons, the brain surgeons, these are the people that specialize in one particular thing. They make a lot more money and they're a lot more in demand and they work less hours too. So I've adopted that same strategy. You need to have a specialty for your channel. You are not the all purpose real estate agent who can help any type of client, whether they want to buy or sell or rent in the entire metro area that you service. That just is so broad and it doesn't make you different from all of the other agents in your market. And I don't care what market you're in, you probably have hundreds, if not thousands, of other agents that you're up against for every single client. So I figure if you're going to make a channel, what is the focus of that channel? What is it going to be about? What is your unique value proposition? Who is the ideal client that you're trying to attract? And once you figure that out, then make a list of what are the things that they are struggling with? What are the questions that they have? What do they want to know? What are the challenges that they're having? And then make content specific to that person. So in my own example, my channel was for military members who are in the market to buy a house when they get to Savannah. They just found out they got orders to come to Hunter Army Airfield. Most of those people are first time buyers. You know, they're in the Army, they don't make a lot of money, but they've moved to an area that's relatively low cost compared to many other parts of the world. So now they're going to be buying their first house. Okay, that like seriously, I could come up with 50 different video topics to speak to that person. They want to know about what's the funding fee and how do I not have to pay that funding fee? Do I have to pay the closing costs? What are closing costs? Can the seller pay the closing costs? How long is this all going to take? How much money do I need to have down? Where should I live? If I am going to be stationed at this particular post, where should I live where I'm not going to have a crazy long commute? Can I afford to live by the beach? Can I have acreage? So many different topics that I could talk about that would be relevant to that specific client because I know who they are. And so I know what their challenges are. And the other part of that is that if you've ever been your ideal customer avatar, now it makes it a million times easier. So my husband is retired Air Force. We've moved a bazillion times. Like I know what their challenges are because I've been there, done that myself. So not only did my channel have a focus, but because I've been in their shoes and I've had those specific questions myself long before I went into real estate, I feel like I am uniquely positioned to be able to answer those questions for them because it's like, been there, done that. I got you.
Yeah, that's exciting. As you're telling me all of this, I'm like writing more questions down than I had because there was so much in that short amount of time that you gave. It was powerful. So, you know, if you're new to an area like you were, one of the best things is doing this video because didn't do a lot of luxury before my YouTube channel, but I would pepper in a lot of luxury stuff and talk about luxury stuff while still talking about what things people wanted. And I can tell you my luxury business is out of control. We're closing at least 1 to 2 million+ dollar listings a month or buyers a month in that price point. And I never did that before. So that's like the power because you can take your audience and make your audience what you want it to be and grow that. So my question then, so you're in a new area, you start this channel, you're talking about PCSing and all this. How long did it start from the first content you started making about that area till your first buyer client or client and then actually closed piece of business?
Okay, so I started making weekly videos in June of 2017. I had just moved to Savannah Memorial Day weekend, and a couple of days after we moved here was when I got my very first lead. Unfortunately, he was looking to buy a house in Atlanta. And I was like, dude, I just moved 5 hours away last week. You couldn't have called me a month ago. You have the worst timing ever. So I had to refer him out to somebody else. But that was what made me say, okay, what if I actually had a plan? What if I were consistent? What if I had a whole content calendar? What if I just did one video a week? So June of 2017 was when I started that. I got a come list me in September. He listed his house with me. We put it on the market. It sold, got paid. The next lead I got was also a come list me. So even though I was going after military buyers, it's very interesting to me that the first two leads I got were sellers. So whenever I tell people you really need to niche down and have this focus and they push back on it, I always use this as an example that just because that's the content you're putting out on the channel does not mean those are the only clients that you're going to get. You're not only going to get first time buyers that have very little money to spend. The first lead I got was not in the military and he was selling. The second lead I got, he was in the military and he was selling because they were PCSing to Fort Eustis, but it was still a seller. And then they just started to snowball after that. And now we get probably 3 to 5 leads a day from our channel. It's insane.
Of the, let's say of 10 leads that I get, 90% are going to be buyer leads, but there's that 1% that is going to be listing leads. So you do get listing leads out of this. The reality is when you walk into that listing appointment, if you're calling for sell by owners or anything, and you walk in, you have to fight for that listing. How much easier is it walking into that listing appointment or meeting with that buyer when they feel like they already know you?
Yeah. I mean, that first come list me phone call, I didn't know that that's what it was, right? So I show up, I'm going to do my whole listing presentation. I've only lived in Savannah for 3 months at this point. I can't say that I'm an expert on the area, let alone their specific neighborhood. So I'm sweating bullets thinking, oh God, they're going to ask me all these questions and I'm not going to have good answers. So at the end, I like summoned all of my courage and said, so who else are you interviewing? Not like I'd even know any of those names, but I thought I'll go research them when I'm done. And they said, nobody. We've already picked you. And I got a lead this morning. She called and said she wants to buy. And I said, okay, great. So where do you live now? And she said, oh, I live in Oakty, which is right next to Hilton Head. We own a house. So she's going to have to sell that house in order to buy this house. So now we're going to get 2 transactions out of it.
Here's what's crazy about all of this. When you started this channel and just we're doing this, how much were you actually, how much dollar wise were you actually spending on content creation?
That would be 0.99.
0.99. Exactly. And so I met with a financial advisor the other day and he goes, you're running at a 90% margin. Do you understand how crazy that is? I'm like, okay. He's like, you realize the only thing you're doing is paying for your, the only thing I pay for really is my TC and my editor. And my editor is not uber expensive. You know, as a young guy, you know, in college, I'm sure I'll be paying a lot more in the future once he sees this video. But, but the expense for that versus the gain that you get out of it is insane.
Yeah.
So let's break this down. You know, somebody just got into an area, they're starting content. They go, okay, this is the content I want to create, similar to what you've done. And then they start creating content and they start not getting business, right? What is the process for somebody to grow their channel and actually start getting business? What are the keys that they have to have in order to actually start getting business from YouTube?
Okay, so my opinion on this is probably not really what most other people do. I
Okay.
find that the less salesy I am in my videos, the less self-promotional I am, the better they perform. So most people start their video with, "Hi there, my name is Karin Carr and I'm a realtor in Savannah, Georgia with Real Broker LLC." And when I look at my video analytics, like you can see where you lose viewers, they cannot leave that video fast enough. They leave skid marks. They are like, "Phew, I am out of there," because I'm convinced that what they hear is, "Hi, I'm an agent that's going to sell you something, and I'm going to be very annoying and self promotional. I'm going to talk about how great I am and all of these designations that I have, and why I am the best, and why you should hire me, and be thankful that I have come along to save the day." It just comes across as so self serving, and they don't go to YouTube to watch your commercial. So instead, I always figure out, okay, what is my video topic? How can I open this video and hook in their attention and try to keep them watching as long as possible? And I never, ever, 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 ever start by introducing myself and the company I'm with. So I will say something like, Are you thinking about Savannah, Georgia? I moved to Savannah from California, and man, I learned so many things, but there were a bunch of things I really wish I would have known before I moved here. So, in today's video, I'm going to tell you the 7 things that you have to know before you move to Savannah. Let's do this. And then I
Perfect.
have my little introduction, and then I introduce myself. So, I try to hook them in and get their attention at the very beginning. Then I talk about whatever it is that I'm talking about. Again, I don't have my phone number on the screen. I don't have my logo as a watermark up in the corner. I'm not making this all about me and my branding. I'm actually doing as little of that as I can get away with. If I didn't even have to identify myself as a licensee, I probably wouldn't, but I have to in my state. So I do it to be compliant. But it's almost like an afterthought. Like I just get through it as quickly as possible. Then I talk about my content of the day. And then when I am wrapping up at the end, another huge mistake is that people say, so I hope this was helpful. I hope you liked it. Please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment. Feel free to reach out to me if I can ask or answer any of your questions. And what that does is tell people that the video is now over and they are allowed to leave. So they do. They don't stick around and watch anything else. They don't get your contact information because they're already gone. So instead, I'm talking, 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 and then boom, all of a sudden we're in the end screen, which is the last 20 seconds of the video, where I say, if this was helpful, you're going to love this video. You should go watch it next. It's popping up on the screen right here. You're on your phone. All you got to do is tap it. So just go tap it, and I'll see you on that video next. Now you're telling them what you want them to do. They go watch another video. Now, Jeremy, you know this probably as good as I do, if not better. The YouTube algorithm loves to have people get all the way to the end of your video and then watch another one. Because what that tells them is that they liked this video, they found it to be valuable, and now they've watched another one. They like you, they like your channel, they like your content. So the next time they log on to YouTube, the algorithm's going to put your videos right on their homepage. They're going to start suggesting more of your videos to that person because they've been engaging with it all along. And pretty soon, every time that person logs on to YouTube, they see your videos, they start to think that you're the only agent in town, which is so not true, but we are perfectly happy to let them think that that's the case, right?
What you just said, I hope everyone that's watching this wrote exactly what you said down. This has been my biggest beef with YouTube and agents on YouTube. You walk in, you get a little intro what the video is, and then it's 35 seconds of talking about yourself. And then there's a girl I met with in Austin the other day, and she was asking me about her channel, and I go, well, look at your analytics. You did a 12-minute video, and people are only watching a minute of it.
Ouch.
And I go, why is that? And she was like, well, I go, are you paying for views? And she said, yes. I go, well, stop paying for views right now. That's stop. Number two, you talked about yourself, like how you're selling homes, like the very beginning. Like, why do you think people are bouncing out after a minute? That you're paying that and that. And so what's funny is I met with my Tom Ferry coach yesterday, and he goes, so on this YouTube, what's your call to action on all this? And I go, no, buddy, nope, sorry, no call to action. He's like, wait, so you're doing this YouTube channel and no call to action? I go, nope, no call to action. Not even at the end. I go, at the end, here's like how just how you did it. At the end, I'm like, so what'd you think? You agree? Don't agree? I don't know. Jeremy Night the Night group. Make sure you watch the next video, and then that's it. That's it. Or I'm like, we'll see you on the next one, and that's it. It's 8 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and that's it. I'm out. And I think the biggest mistake I see agents do, number one, is pay for views. I get it. It's tough. You want people to watch your content, that, or you do the sub for sub. I was a critic on the Facebook group for a while of that. Now it's great because people are stopped doing that, and you addressed it.
Yeah,
Like,
and I
hey,
was encouraging that. So
yeah,
Jeremy's talking about I have a Facebook group called YouTube for Real Estate Agents, and back, years ago, I thought it was a great idea for us to subscribe
yeah,
to each other and help each other out and support each other and leave positive comments and all that kind of stuff. But the more that I learned about the algorithm, it's like, well, you're just training the algorithm that the most likely viewer for this content is
yeah,
another real estate agent. So we
yeah,
have to stop doing that.
yeah.
And as soon as I realized, like, I had the best intentions, but
Oh
it
yeah, no,
turned
you
out that it
guys,
was totally wrong, and I was like, "Stop doing that. Stop
yeah.
sharing all of your videos in this group." Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, but that's the toughest thing for agents, right? Is you want people to start seeing your content. You want it to get out there. You want the views. You want the business. So you're doing everything you can, and it's really easy for me to text my video to 20 people or drop it in a link somewhere. And, I'm doing that with this channel just because this channel is focused at agents. I'm not selling anything. If anybody wants to buy anything or help, Karen is the person for that. So definitely reach out to her. She's got programs and all the fun stuff for that. So she is that person. I just love having conversations and bringing on awesome people like Karen. So, what do you think? So I've talked about what I think some of the mistakes agents make. What do you think some of the mistakes agents make?
I mean, other than making it way too, it's all about me. And like, let's face it, if somebody did a Google search and your video shows up on page one, and did you know that? Like, people that are watching this, your videos will show up on the first page of Google search results for free without spending a dollar on ads. That is huge. So they click on it, but they did not know who you were at the time. And then all you do is talk about yourself. They don't care about us. They do not care about you and all of your skills. They want to know what's in it for me. So if you can stop focusing on, like, I need to be super professional, I need to be really polished, I need to have this amazing set. No, like, I'm sure I can say that this is probably the same for you, Jeremy. The earliest videos of mine were terrible. They had no lighting, they had no audio. I was up against the wall, so I looked like I was in a lineup at the police station. I didn't know what to say and where to look. Like, how many videos have you seen where they're not looking at the camera lens, they're kind of looking over here because they're looking at their face on their iPhone screen and not looking at the camera lens? Like, we all make those mistakes at the beginning.
Yeah.
Every single one of us did that. But the more you do it, the better you get. And then you say, "Ooh, I'm going to get some cool lights and I'm going to put them on my behind my couch over there and on my bookshelf over here," and just try to level up my production quality a little bit. But still, this is my most expensive piece of equipment right here. I splurged. I got the iPhone 13 Pro. It just came like 2 days ago. I'm excited because it's
Got
got
mine
that
yesterday.
the cinematic mode. Oh,
Yes.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
But, like, literally, that is my most expensive piece of equipment. So just use your phone. Use what you have. Go buy like a $30 microphone if you can. It will definitely make your sound quality better. It does not have to be something big like this thing over here. I only have that because I do so many of these live streams and Zoom meetings and stuff. And my husband said for our anniversary last year, like, "What do you want for our anniversary? Where it's COVID, we can't go anywhere, we can't do anything. Do you want jewelry?" And I'm like, "No, could you give me a really good podcasting microphone?" And so that was my anniversary gift. Otherwise, I never would have bought something that nice, I can guarantee you.
Yeah, and for anybody wanting a podcasting mic, the Yeti, this thing is cheap. Uh, I mean, go definitely do your due diligence if you want to drop money on something. And hey, remember it's a tax deduction, right? So
That's
you can
right.
write it off, but you still got to pay the money for it. So do that. So one other question I had was, so I get this question a lot. You talked about it a second ago. You said that your videos will rank on Google.
Yes.
One question I constantly get from people is, how do you do your SEO? Do you use Tubebuddy? What do you do there? I want to get your take on SEO. What's more important, SEO, title, thumbnail? What does that look like? Yeah, you're
So
good.
I am a big believer in SEO. I had my website long before I had a YouTube channel, and I learned the basics of blogging and how to get a blog post to rank on Google. And then I thought, well, Google owns YouTube, so why wouldn't that work for YouTube as well? So I do figure out what my topic will be. And then I go do keyword research because I want to see what are people actually typing into the Google search bar when they are investigating this particular topic. And I will look at the keywords and say, okay, this is a really good keyword. A lot of people are searching for this, and there's really not a lot of competition. So then I will make my video using that keyword. I don't really use TubeBuddy for keyword research. I love TubeBuddy for pretty much every feature that they have, except for keyword research for a small hyper-local business like ours, because I know that moving to Savannah, Georgia is one of the best keywords I ever could have chosen. But TubeBuddy says it's a bad keyword because it only gets 480 searches a month. To them, that's nothing. That's like, that may as well be zero. They want to see that it gets 50,000 searches a month. But for me, 480 people a month who say, "Hello, I'm moving to your area and I'm going to need a place to live," that's a really, really, really good keyword. So I do the keyword research just to figure out what my video is going to be about. And I'm going to say it in the video and I'm going to put it in the description just because the description box is searchable. So when people are doing that search, I want this video to appear. But your title and your thumbnail is like when I go to the liquor store and I'm looking at wine, I look at the label of the bottle of wine and I totally judge the bottle of wine by the label. Is it stupid? Is it superficial? Probably. Do I do it anyway? Heck yeah. If
Yeah,
it's got a lame looking
I think
label,
everybody
I
does.
don't pick it, right?
Yeah,
And so your title and your thumbnail are so important. You cannot just call your video Austin, Texas real estate. Like nobody's going to click on that. But if it was, insider secrets of Austin real estate, you've got to know this stuff. That's so much more intriguing and it's going to make somebody click on it. And then I still am not the best person at thumbnails. I'm not a graphic designer. I've tried to make my own. They're not that great. I've hired it out to other people. It's a work in progress. We tend to skew a little bit too busy and
yeah.
I know that. So I'm trying to refine my thumbnail technique. Your thumbnails are awesome. I've seen
Thank you.
so many. I don't know if you know Paul Wolfert in Detroit. His thumbnails
Nope.
are awesome.
Reach
And I'm
out.
trying to, refine my thumbnail strategy. But you got to make somebody click on it because they want to know what you're talking about in this video. If they don't click, they can't watch it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I told somebody this the other day, and they looked at me cross-eyed. I don't even have TubeBuddy. Like, you're almost at 10,000 subs and don't have TubeBuddy, and
Oh
I'm
my
like,
gosh.
nope, never had it, never used it,
Wow.
never
Okay.
wanted it. So, I mean, again, there's definitely so many ways to do this, and not one way is better than the other. For a long time, I would always like meh, 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 being cranky Jeremy say things to people like, don't do that style video. But the reality is that you got to do what's best for your content, right? What you want to do and put it out there. And if you realize it's not good and you need to pivot. Uh, Thumbnails, title, I agree, are probably the most important thing. SEO is good. I mean, you definitely want to put good thumbnails or good keywords in there. But you're right. The thumbnail title, in my opinion, is so much more important than I get accused of doing clickbait thumbnails and clickbait titles. Okay.
I mean, as long as you deliver on the promise of
Yeah.
what was on the thumbnail and what the title was, as long as you deliver, it's not clickbait. To me, it's
Right.
only clickbait if it's a bait and switch. Like
Right.
your video says, you know, reasons not to move to Austin. And then your video is about like your favorite ice cream parlor in Austin. That's not what it was about. That's
Yeah.
clickbait. But to me, as long as you deliver on the promise, then you're not tricking anybody. You're using kind of sensationalized titles, but that's what we have to do.
Like that's
Otherwise,
what
nobody
YouTube
would ever
wants,
click and
right?
watch. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, look, I really appreciate you jumping on that today. This has been awesome. For anybody that's looking to reach out to you for either there's some coaching or your book, what's the best way to do that?
I do have a book. It's called YouTube for Real Estate Agents. Learn how to get free real estate leads and never cold call again. It is $1. Actually, it's 99 cents for the Kindle version on Amazon. I looked at it this morning. It has sold 15,000 copies. That boggles
Nice.
my mind that so many
That's
people
awesome.
want to learn about this. It's very cool. Feel free to grab
Congratulations.
that. My YouTube channel for agents is youtube.com/Karin Carr. And if you want to join our free Facebook group, it's YouTube for Real Estate Agents. You'll be able to get in there and see what people like Jeremy and other agents are doing. They'll share their videos and say, give me some feedback. What do you think? It's a great way to just see what other people are doing and get inspired. And then if you're brand new to this and you really need some feedback, people can be brutally honest, but most of the people in there are very tactful and they want you to get better. And so they'll tell you what you need to hear, but with, a kind heart. So it's like, I say this with love. Your intro is 45 seconds long. Ain't nobody cares. It can't
Yeah.
be that long.
Yeah.
Ditch the intro. I promise it'll give you better results. And we're not doing it to be mean. We're saying it because we want you to get better.
Absolutely. Well, Karen, again, thank you so much for jumping on. I really appreciate the time. And if you found value in this, definitely hit the subscribe button. We'll catch you in the next video. Thank you.